Okay, good afternoon. Hope you have you had a nice lunch break. So I'm Pierre. I'm managing the engineering services in the UK. So our presentation today will be all about digital continuity, digital transformation. In fact, we'll present the MBSE approach, model-based system engineering, which is an end-to-end approach across all the V cycle of development of a product. So from gathering the requirements to the modeling, to the simulation, and virtual testing, and V&V. So multiple benefits from this offer, mainly improve the times to market, improve the co-engineering between all the organization, reduce the risk by detecting failures at the earliest stage of the development. So all this will be presented in details by Marie, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Pierre. So welcome. So let's move now to the virtual world, okay? What is virtual engineering? Let's say that you have a very complex system to build. So 17 billion euro, just for a canal water lock is quite important. And what you want to do is to try to secure that complex system earlier. And to do that, the very best way is clearly to use the virtual approach with the enabler, which is really based upon the model. But what is very interesting is that we, as Capgemini Group, has developed a virtual tanker, but another company has worked with the exact same tools of modeling with all the infrastructure of the canal water lock. And what you could do with such complex system is really to use, I would say, a collaborative environment to have several companies running together a simulation in virtual of a canal water lock prior to any build, saving really the cost and securing the solution. So this is what we will speak about today. System engineering has been used since many, many years, as soon as we have very complex system to develop. So the time to market, performance, cost, quality has really been, I would say, the main driver for system engineering. What is new today is really the fact that new technology is popping up every single day. And when you have a complex system, usually you have a development time which could be several years. And you have really a big question to understand if you need to integrate that new technology as part of your development, which is already ongoing now, or if you wait 5 years from now to integrate this brand new feature, which will be, by the way, maybe obsolete by that time, in a few years from now. When you are in virtual, you could really assess this new technology by modeling, understanding the impact on your system design. And then you could take a decision to integrate it or not. The last point, which is very interesting as well on the market, is the fact that we are really working in a more and more collaborative global environment. What that means is that, again, to design a very complex system, you are not making it alone. You have really an ecosystem, and this ecosystem is more and more going for co-design. So that means it's no more, let's say, a specification that we have to fulfill. It's more an exchange. If you want to exchange a co-design, clearly, again, if you are in a virtual space, you could work very efficiently between all the ecosystem. So the virtual system engineering is really about effective decision making. That one is very important. Understanding the trade-off, everything prior to the build. For sure, what we want also to have is this famous validation and verification phase, which is based upon hardware, which is based upon equipment, real equipment, but with the virtual approach, we could ease as well this verification and validation. We want to anticipate issues as soon as possible inside the development cycle prior to any build, and this is what the virtual world will give us. Modeling. So usually we have always in system engineering some part of the modeling, but most of the time it's not connected all together. So that means you will have the mechanical doing its own simulation. You will have the let's say electrical part doing its own simulation. But they are not discussing sometimes together because they are not using the same model interface, they are not using by the way, also the same simulation core. All the approach, the famous MDAC approach, model-based system engineering, is really here to reduce the discontinuities and make sure that we have a single environment where all the models could, in quotes, speak together. What is also very interesting is that most of the time, the simulation and the modelization is pretty down into the development cycle. And with a really brand new approach, we are modeling at the functional level, but we are modeling as well the requirements. And when we know that from the requirement standpoint, it's 50%, I would say, the root cause of project failing, 50% is coming from requirements. So you understand really the big stakes, which is to be able to simulate and have a model somewhere from the requirement. And for sure, going again to the verification and validation, we could use the approach of having the models already there, having brand new equipment coming one by one to really use the simulation to prove that your equipment is fitting what you have been designing. And then the integration, the system testing, will be much more easier because you have already used your simulation as a first path to make sure that this equipment is running well. But the simulation is not stopping at the end of the development. The simulation is all the way through the cycle to the, let's say, life cycle, up to, why not, the dismantlement. So that means really to the end of life of your system. Each time you have a change, you could assess that change inside your simulation and then make a decision for a replacement or for whatever could happen, as well failure, by the way, in the fields. A few words about IA, how we could use IA, especially in the modeling. Most of the time, the modeling is done from a theoretical base, a mathematical approach, and then you have your equipment and maybe you do a feedback loop on your modeling. With the IA, if you have already a database, let's say, where you have proven some function points of your system, subsystem, you could now do some modeling upon this database using the IA algorithm, and it will make perhaps a brand new point of functioning of your system using the modeling no more from the theoretical approach, but maybe from an existing database of, let's say, of function points of your system. Again, the MBSE, where we put a lot of things behind, very clearly what it is, it's just to replace all the paper by model, and as much as possible, and to remove the discontinuities that we could have when we are doing the architecture and the design on one side. And then we do some modeling on the other side, and some testing again on the other side. If we want to go to a digital continuity path, let's put it all together with the same interfaces, and let's have a model really taking the power upon the design. Virtual testing, a few words, which is pretty interesting. So the early validation from the specification is for sure well known from that standpoint, but maybe sometimes what we call here the virtual verification a little less. This is what we call hardware in the loop. So I don't know if it is familiar from this word, hardware in the loop. But the idea is to be able to reduce the number of real tests. And knowing that once you have the hardware, then the cost is there, and it is a tremendous amount, I would say, of money spending here for the verification and the validation. If again you use the fact that you have invested up front to get your model during the design phase, you could continue to use this model to reduce the amount of tests that you will do. And again, anticipate your equipment, the fact that when you will connect two equipment together, the interfaces will be proven and the behavior will be proven. You anticipate the problem detection, and for sure you reduce at the end the lead time overall, and you secure your system. So what I propose now is to move to the reality of the NVSE approach. So what we have done, we have really taken a tanker, done in virtual, within really a digital continuity approach. Okay, I will show you the demo, and then we will come back to what has been done. I need to click. Yeah. Again, we have taken a real tanker specification. From this tanker specification, I will just let the very start of it. We have really ensure the digital continuity of all the development phase, and that one is pretty much of importance when we speak about MDSE approach. And again, trying to tackle the lead time, the total lead time of the development. So let's move now to the demo. So you recognize that one, where we speak about the architecture. So we have done the mission of the tanker from the architecture and design. We have done as well all the modeling on several subsystems. We have done a breakdown, so kind of fractal approach on any kind of subsystem from the tanker. We have done that with several tools, and one of the tools that we have done it is through the 3D experience platform from Dassault. So you recognize the mission, the use case, and the function. And here we are inside the tools, because this tool is really allowing us to go into a single environment where we could share everything. We have started from the main needs and the requirement associated to the mission and its operational use case. And then each time you continue to derive from requirement down to some functional breakdown. And from the function, one function, you could again do this fractal approach to refine again some sub-function, and from any sub-function, you could go to a physical allocation. All the time here, you could see on the left side your requirement, and you could find all the related function associated to a single one. And again, with this, what I call fractal approach, you refine each time your system to subsystem, subsystem to equipment. So that means you really go to the physical layer. So now let's move to one function which is on the water ballast. On that one again, each time you could go back to your requirement, and when you scroll down inside the function, you will be able to go to your physical design and your modelization, which will go very, very deep inside, I would say, the characteristics. For sure, anytime you could locate as well on your 3D, let's say, view of your system, where is the physical allocation. And let's move now to the core of the modeling. What is very interesting in this approach is that you could mix several kinds of models. You could mix some behavioral models, not very precise, with very precise model. And you play all the time between these two levels of representativity. So here, again, this is a real case of implementation of a water ballast with several pumps. And we have selected, I would say, a modeling upon the pump. So physical allocation, real interfaces, as it would be done physically. And from there, we put here some electrical characterization of the pump in virtual. And then we see the result. So that means, do we have the expected behavior of our system? So that means that the fact that the tanker is being filled with water, so that means going down. And we have as well, as you will see, generated some failure. And that one is really where the modeling is very interesting and the simulation is very interesting, because you could try to anticipate what will happen if. So here again, you will see the demo running. So that means you see your currently your pump are open, and then you start really to fill the tanker. And all of a sudden, we will block one line while the other is going on. So we have generated a failure. And then you could see if Your tanker is having some rolling. Is it acceptable? Not acceptable? Do you have to redesign it? Everything in virtual, you have not spent a single penny, I would say, on a real, how can I say, part of the equipment or part of the tanker. Last but not least, the famous virtual testing and the hardware in the loop. So we have implemented a command and control software simulation here to do a small hardware in the loop. And here you link your simulation with a physical equipment. And again, you could see if your physical equipment, the interfaces are good. And second, do you have the right behavior? Okay? So again, I will not go back to, I would say, all the benefits. This is what we have covered at the very, very beginning. But we will go back now to the presentation. Yeah. Here, what I want just to show you, because we have discussed that inside the demo, but this is what I call the fractal approach. So that means each time you repeat it on your system level, you repeat it on your subsystem level, and you repeat again and again. And where we want to do, what we want to do is really to be able to use your model at several, again, level of representativity and to mix all of that to be able to get a digital twin. So that's when you recognize what we have seen into a single type of environment. We have done the same approach with different tools. It works the same result. The only thing is that you have discontinuities. And if you have a failure and you want to go back, I would say to see what is, in quote, inside the requirement. Perhaps the requirement is wrong, then it's in the head of the engineer, because you have no more link. And here, I have a failure here. I could cross-check if it is inside the functional block. I could cross-check that maybe this is my requirement, it was wrong. The result, you have a full digital twin. You could master, I would say, whatever you want in terms of control panel as well. And last but not least, you could then exchange this model with another company which is making the infrastructure of the canal lock. And then you could really cross-check that your design will be able to fit inside the canal lock. Okay. This is really the co-design altogether. Different companies, different stake, same virtual environment. Key takeaways, and I think we will have time for a few questions then. Again, what is very, very important in the system engineering approach, and this is what is, quote, brand new with the virtual approach, is the architecture. This architecture has been most of the time really done, the trade-off by paper. But here you have really now some tools where you could do all your flow, you could do really the interface with the stakeholders, and as well all the diagram, the functional diagram, really within a virtual world. And that one is enabling as well the reuse of your architecture. If you are in a product line approach, your platform, where you have already the models, even at the architecture level, you will be able to reuse that for your derivatives. For sure, modeling, reduce inconsistency, accelerate design making process. I think that's pretty clear. The traceability is extremely important. You have seen in the demo that you have really this hand-to-hand traceability. Down to your physical allocation, you could really go back anywhere where you want inside your virtual environment to identify what is wrong, what could be wrong. The virtual testing to again save some cost on, I would say, the real equipment. And at the end, something which is also important for the digital continuity is that all of that is working within a certain framework. And this is where it's opening the door to the PLM, it's opening the door to the NES, it's really opening the door to wherever you want to bring this virtual world. Thank you very much.